We have some news that just came in out of Congress and the House of Representatives voting on the all-important bill. What does this mean for the stimulus package going forward, and what does this mean for beneficiaries of Social Security, retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, and RRB? Let's get into it and talk through this. Welcome, thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video, as I'm here for you every single day to bring you all of the latest updates and to help you out in any way that I can as your one and only daily advocate. So thanks so much for your support. I promise you I'll continue to be here for you every single day going forward. So make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss any videos as things are changing very rapidly. All right, thank you so much. Let's talk through this as once again we have a lot to talk about. So the House of Representatives just reconvened to vote on this all-important bill. In fact, I talked about this a little bit earlier this afternoon as they finally set up this vote on expanding the debt limit. Now, this is something that the Senate actually voted on last week and sent it over to the House, and they finally just voted on it today as we are within 1 week of the federal government getting into a massive, colossal default, as in they wouldn't be able to pay their bills. But now that it has passed through the House of Representatives, it is going to move on to the president, where he has already indicated he will be signing it into law. So that is a good thing. Now, this bill did pass through the Senate 219 to 206, right down party lines. So either way, it doesn't really matter. It did pass, and that is ultimately what matters the most right now. However, this is just a short-term extension to the expansion of the debt limit, and we will be faced with this same situation in early December. In fact, this $480 billion that they allocated right here in this expansion only keeps the government funded until December 3rd. So we're not that far out. In fact, I ran the numbers. It's 52 days from right now. One quick calculation that I think is incredibly interesting. So they allocated $480 billion right here to continue paying all of the bills and obligations of the federal government. How much money do you think that is on a daily basis? I ran the calculation for you. 480 billion divided by 52 days is $9.23 billion every single day. Could you imagine spending $9.23 billion every single day? Here's the thing, you couldn't do it. I guarantee it. That is a lot of money. You could buy anything you could ever dream of, and it would be a hard time to spend $9.25 billion every single day. Yeah, that's a lot of money. That'd be super fun. Would it not be fun? I mean, you could buy a whole fleet of jets, and you'd still have plenty of money to spend over. You know what I mean? You could buy any car you could ever want, and you'd have plenty of money left over. So anyway, I wanted to run that calculation because I thought you might find that really, really interesting. But this will bring us until early December. So interesting stuff. We'll have to keep an eye on that. However, let's talk about the stimulus package and what does this passing of this bill actually mean for Social Security beneficiaries. In fact, let's talk about Social Security and all of these beneficiaries first, and then we'll talk about stimulus. All right, so if you watched my video from this morning, I actually had a really great article in that video. In fact, my wife came in and read that article to you. Now, over the last couple weeks here, we've been talking a lot about this debt limit and suspension of the debt ceiling and all this business. And we've talked about many times how if they don't actually make some kind of congressional action to actually suspend the debt ceiling or expand the debt limit so that they have more money to work with, if the country actually did default, then we could potentially be seeing those delays to payments. Well, there was a lot of confusion about that, and I came back earlier this morning in that first video early this morning with my wife Corey reading that article to you and kind of laying it all out. In fact, they did a great job of explaining what it would actually mean going forward and the delays to the payments. So I'd say first off, if you didn't see that video, feel free to go back and watch that one. It was my very first one this morning. I think the title was something along the lines of Social Security, SSDI, SSI, this is for you. Check out that video as it explains it right there very clearly what this means. So as of right now, now that Congress has passed this and we anticipate the president will sign it, I'm not sure if that signing will be happening tonight. I kind of guessing probably not. If it is, it's maybe happening right here, right now as I record this video. Otherwise, I'm guessing he will sign it immediately, first thing away, right away in the morning. But anyway, now that this one is pretty much a done deal, we don't have to worry about the delays to payments right now anyway. However, when we approach early December, we could be looking at this situation once again if they don't actually do something to once again raise the debt limit, right? So we could potentially be facing this issue in a matter of about 6 or so weeks, however many weeks that is. It's about 6 weeks or so. So one more thing we need to kind of keep on our plate and just, stay aware of. All right, now let's talk about stimulus for just a minute here. Nancy Pelosi was out this morning in a press conference or a press briefing. She was out talking about the stimulus package, and she sent out a Dear Colleague letter yesterday evening briefing her Democratic colleagues on the stimulus package and how many of her constituents are coming out basically saying, hey, you've got to lower the price tag on this thing. We're not cool with this $3.5 trillion. Well, that's what everybody's saying right now, and the president, we know, is around $2 trillion on this package. Well, we then have progressives who came out pretty much right away after Nancy Pelosi was speaking saying, yeah, we're not going down to $2 trillion. We need to stick with about $3 trillion at an absolute minimum. So that's about where we're sitting right now. Is we've still got this massive spread between even Nancy Pelosi, who is the Speaker of the House, even her and the progressives in her caucus right there in the House, they're even spread out, about $1 trillion apart. Now that is not chump change, right? I mean, that is a massive amount of money, $1 trillion. I bet anybody here would be loving $1 trillion right now, right? That'd be super fun. Anyway, I can't even imagine if we were struggling to spend the 9.23 billion, from a couple minutes ago when I explained that. Yeah, good luck spending $1 trillion, right? That's a lot of money. Anyway, it's just kind of fun to think about. I love thinking about stuff like that, just because it's like it makes your mind really expand, because literally it's almost endless, right? It's like almost endless what you could buy with $1 trillion. But anyway, the whole point is now we have this great divide still between the parties, or not the parties, but basically within the Democratic Party, where we have all these people, the moderates and the progressives, who are kind of really far apart on this thing. However, they still do have this thing planned to be completely passed by the end of October. Now, this is just an arbitrary date that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have pretty much pulled out of the air and said, yep, this is the date that we want to have it passed by, the end of October, basically Halloween. Well, if they don't actually get it passed, that means they need to pass, once again, an expansion to the highway bill. So what they actually did here was, back when the end of September, well, obviously ended, when September ended, and the fiscal year for the federal government ended, pretty much funding for the highways ran out. So for a short time there, they were basically talking about furloughing about 3,700 of these employees. Well, they quickly came together, Congress anyway, and they passed this extension for 30 days. Well, that's going to expire at the end of October. So once again, if they don't get this passed, they'll need to do it again, right? So as you can see, with pretty much everything that Congress does right now, all they essentially do is just kick the can down the road about 6 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. That's typically all they do, and then they face the problems once again in a matter of just a short time. So they really need some long-term solutions here. I mean, of course, I'm not in Congress, I'm not a senator, I'm not a representative, I'm nothing like this, but I don't know. Just to me, I would think, let's just get it done. Let's get this thing wrapped up for a year, as long as we possibly can, so we don't have to revisit this thing every 30 days or every 6 weeks or 2 months, whatever it happens to be. But it seems like this is what they continue doing. Like this highway funding thing expiring at the end of October. We have the debt ceiling situation coming at the early December. We have the federal government running out of money again at the beginning of December 3rd, because that's when the continuing resolution goes through. I mean, seriously, they have 3 things that are coming up here within the matter of the next month and a half that are going to be expiring, 3 more big issues. So but anyway, the whole point of the story is, now that they have this whole this whole debt limit thing expanded here, the president will be signing it, it's pretty much out of the hands of Congress right now. They have indicated that they're going to be spending the rest of their time, basically between now and December, figuring out this whole stimulus package issue. So basically going forward from here, we're going to be seeing a lot more updates on this, because the last few days here, they've mostly been focused on this whole debt limit issue. Well, that's pretty much behind us. It's not officially done yet. It's just waiting for the final signature from the president, which we already know is going to come. He's already said he's going to sign it. So whether that happens tonight or right away tomorrow morning, it's just basically a done deal, right? We can pretty much write it off and say, okay, we're done with that. Now we can focus on the stimulus package, and it's just a matter of, how are they going to approach this? Are they going to try to shave it down to about $2 trillion, or are they going to try to keep it around that $3 trillion? And if so, what kind of backlash or what kind of response are they going to get out of all of the Democrats? Because remember, this is the reconciliation bill. It is only Democrats, right? They only need to have partisan support on this thing. So yeah, as you can tell, a lot of stuff going on here once again, right? So anyway, I wanted to bring this to you. As I said earlier in my videos, I'd be bringing you the latest updates as we get them. Well, this actually just passed moments before I started recording this video. In fact, I was looking around thinking, when are they going to vote on this thing? I finished eating dinner, picked up my phone, and I was looking at it, and all of a sudden, literally, right after I picked up my phone, breaking news, and it came in. So I was like, oh, what a coincidence, right? Kind of funny stuff how that happens. But anyway, so here I am, bringing you all the latest updates. So again, hope this helps you out to some degree. Remember, I'm always here to help you out in any way that I can, to bring you all of the latest updates hot off the press as they're being released, as well as talking through other very important information, especially the parameters of these stimulus packages, because there's a lot of money in there. And as I always say, there's always something in there for the people. We've just got to figure out what it is and how we can get our hands on it ethically, legally, right? We would never do anything, or we would never advocate to do anything illegal. That's not what we're doing here. We always want to get what we can ethically gain as citizens, right? I mean, there's always money in there. When we're talking about $3 trillion or $2 trillion, there's got to be something in there for the people. There always is something. We just got to figure out what it is. There's always crumbs left over, and that's pretty much all we get is the crumbs. But at least we'll take a crumb versus nothing, right? So anyway, hope this helps you out. Enjoy your day. Make sure to subscribe down below, as I'm here for you every single day with all the latest updates, helping you out in any way that I can. And please feel free to go back and check out that video from this morning, again titled Social Security, SSDI, and SSI. This is for you, as I talk about the debt ceiling in there and what it means for the delay of payments, potentially, if this whole debt issue isn't resolved once again in December when we revisit this.